Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Generation X Nation. As always, first things first, thank you to everyone who subscribed to my channel or who has left a comment. It does not go unnoticed. I will be on YouTube today replying back to a lot of people. I definitely appreciate it. And with that being said, let's go on with my disclaimers. My disclaimer is this: everything on my channel is alleged in my opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Alleged in my opinion and for entertainment purposes only. I do my commentary based on the week to week episodes. I do not have a dog in this fight. Okay. So all commentary is based on what they air on the television with the understanding that some scenes are edited out and we don't get the whole conversation. So I can only conversate, or as they like to say, commentate on what they show on the television screen. All right. And also, I'm going to talk a little about Heart and Hustle Houston. I did watch that show the first season. I did one or two videos on it. They are on episode 3, and I'm just going to go over each cast member and where I see them at as of right now. And then I will start going over it weekly. Okay. So we're going to get started on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like I said, it was a very light episode. I love the skate party at the end. We didn't have a lot of arguing and fighting, and maybe because they didn't air K Michelle that much on this particular scene. So let's get started. They start off at Cynthia's house. Cynthia and Shamia are sitting there having this conversation. And she's asking them what happened with the Drew and the K Michelle, after Drew sang the Star Spangled Banner. And once again, Shamia not taking accountability. She told me, I don't have any issues with Drew. She said, I just have an issue when Drew asks me about Portia. I don't think Drew asked you that much about Portia. But at the end of the day, you and Portia has been friends for a long time, Shamia. So at some point, somebody's going to wonder what happened if y'all been friends that long. You neglected to say that you got up and left Drew in the restaurant by herself. You finally said, I left. K. Michelle left. You left. Somebody tussling over Chanel bag. That was very rude. That was very rude of you, Shamia. And for some reason, you're not taking accountability of that. But then Cynthia asks you about Portia. You ain't get mad at Cynthia. You said, oh, she just sent a text message that I didn't like. And she know what it was about my husband. Because she asked you, why didn't you invite Portia to the event? But you had invited everybody else. And you tried to make that about, oh, she sent me a text message. You could have invited her. Portia may not have even showed up. Okay. So again, Shamia, you're starting to be the person who's being the messiest on the show and making yourself unlikable. Now let's move on. K. Michelle and Pinky. They're sitting out having a conversation. And I'm going to say this once again. Pinky is talking about what happened at the national anthem. Life is more than the national anthem. She's trying to get K. Michelle to soften up a little bit with her issue with Drew, and y'all have a conversation. Then she goes in talking about her franchise bankruptcy once again. Her husband gonna get her out of bankruptcy. Pinky, we don't care about the bankruptcy at this point. We really don't. There's a lot of celebrities, especially reality TV celebrities, who are going through bankruptcy and stuff. I mean, let's just look at Wendy Acefo. We can go out to the West Coast. Just stop making that your be all on the show. Try something else. But she did say, hey, I'm going to have a old school roller skate party. Came and she'll act like she didn't want to come because all the girls are going to be there. And, eventually she does come. I'm going to say this. When Pinky was sitting there with K. Michelle was looking really nice. Pinky, when you come into these scenes, I ain't saying you got to be dressed to impress every single time, because if I come to your restaurant and you're in your restaurant mode with, apron on, whatever, that's different. But I am tired of seeing you in spandex and baseball caps or whatever. Okay? Come to the scenes dressed accordingly. And I know, I don't know. It's just something about, I like Pinky, but I'm gonna need you to up the fashion a little bit. I ain't saying you got to be dressed all the time, because when they pick up the ladies at home, they're casual, nice flowy dresses, and maybe a little two-piece workout suit or something. But you walk around like that. You're on the Housewives franchise. There is a certain expectation of how we look when that camera gets rolling, and you just miss the mark every time. Now, K. Michelle is saying, hey, me and Shamia and her mama went to the club after the Star Spangled Banner event, and they started getting in her saying, hey, you better be loyal to Shamia because some of her friends And and Michelle alluded to the candy coated nights, talking about Candy. Don't want her to be friends with you. And you know why? Because we all know Candy's best big friends with Shamia and Toya. And we know that Shamia and Toya don't like K Michelle. So now Shamia, you in the middle of that. And I got a funny feeling that K Michelle and Shamia's friendship is going to be fragile pretty soon. Okay? Because the only thing they had in common, to be honest, is they both had an issue with Portia and they both had an issue with Drew. But Shamia is going to ride with Candy. You know this already. And Toya. So yeah, that friendship may be fractured. That's all I'm saying. Um, Portia and Mike, Portia, I don't even want to discuss this. We all know you and Mike didn't end up together. That was the biggest fake relationship I've ever seen. Okay, I'm sorry. It was just a fake relationship. But she's like giving Mike an ultimatum. Portia's like the kids is an issue. Let's just continue to take it slow. We already know y'all not gonna be together. And y'all didn't even look like you had chemistry when you were on the show. So we'll just dead that and keep it pushing. Shamia. Shamia having to move out of her house because she claimed the neighbors are complaining. I don't buy that. I mean, not Shamia, Kelly. I'm sorry. I don't buy that, Kelly. I think what that house was maybe costing you too much, considering you owe all this money for the divorce, you owe all of this money for bankruptcy, and your restaurants, according to you, wasn't pulling in what you needed them to pull in. You still got to pay those people to be there, even if you're not making the money. And the only restaurant that was making money was the one on the other side of town. So financially, you probably could not afford that place anymore, and that's why you left. But if you want us to believe it was the neighbors and you done been there all these years, apparently prior to you starting to film there, and all of a sudden the neighbors got a problem, girl. When they was moving out of her apartment, it didn't look like it was no 3, 4, 5,000 month type of place. So I'm not buying that, Kelly. However, I like the fact that you rolled right down the street and jumped in your friend Shamia's townhome. Shamia's probably not charging you much, or maybe not charging you at all. So Kelly definitely know how to use her friends. All right. Let's go on to Angela and her brother. That was a very, very touching moment. They both were mourning the loss of their mom. But what struck me is, like her brother said, you're gonna have to let, the daughter know, the youngest children know that their older sister is married to that lady and that's not her friend. Because you're misleading children. And trust me, we've all grown up in these environments where back in the day when you seen Uncle so and so or Aunt so and so, who we knew something was different about them, showing up at every reunion or function. Hell, even people I work with at some time back in the day, showing up with these people that was their friend or my friend. You don't have to say it, it's already implied. And then children will just get confused. And then when they get older, they will be like, I knew that was going on. Why did y'all lie to me? You think you're protecting them, and you might want to just tell them the truth. But again, it's your decision, it's your children. You know how mature they are, you know if they're able to handle that type of news. But I think it's the sooner the better. You don't sit there and delay the truth to children, because as they get older, they will figure it out themselves, and then they will feel like their parents were lying to them. And I'll give you a great example. I'm just saying Queen Latifah, not that she's a child. Queen Latifah never came out and said that she was, living on the other side, but it was already implied just how she moved. So kids can pick that up. Okay. Um, what I did like was Phaedra, Portia, Drew, Angela, and Cynthia all meeting together at the house, sitting down at, I think, Lake Bailey. I think they all came to Cynthia's house, sitting down, eating, and having that just nice Real Housewife moment that we all look for. And Angela was included there. See, Angela fits in with the OGs just right, because she knows exactly what to say and what not to say, but she's more mature and she knows how to conduct herself. So they brought her right on in. If you notice, who was missing? Kelly, Pinky, and I'm sorry, Pinky, Kelly, K Michelle, and Shamia. The messy crew, because they know if any of them would have showed up there, something probably would have went off. Or if she brought them all there, something would have went off. I appreciate the fact that Cynthia is doing really good as a friend of the show and trying to mend all these fences, because she did ask, no, asked about Portia and her little what do you call it, interview. You know, they gave her a rainbow. Drew bought a rainbow cake for her to eat. And then she did mention something about, Cynthia did mention something about the message that Portia was allegedly had to have left on Shamia's phone. And Portia said, I'm not going to discuss any private messages right now. She did ask Drew about the lunching, the thing after the Star Spangled Banner when they went out to eat. She said she felt it was just like a setup. And she was right. You know, I'm sorry. I think they was at Drew's house because at the end they told Ralph this. They asked was Ralph there, and she said he's in the basement. And they said, Ralph, you know, speak up, send us some Morse code, making a joke out of it. You know, and then Portia also said she don't know if she like hot dogs or tacos, which I thought was funny. You know, 'cause I was like, okay, hot dogs or tacos, all right. Angela did prefer to Pinky as Mr. Clean. I thought that was rude. I'm sure Pinky's going to see that and have an issue about that. But for now, they are getting along. But this was a classic moment on the Housewives for me. And I hope the Messy crew was watching that because we can still have our differences. It's like um, Drew mentioned something to Portia about coming somewhere she wasn't invited. And Portia, like, what are you talking about? She said, when I bust into your birthday party, they laughed it off. See, they don't hold these grudges forever, K. Michelle. They don't hold them forever, Shamia. But they were able to just laugh it off. We walked through it, we worked through it. Let's move on. We're in a different space in our life. I love that scene. That's what it's all about. Every now and then, have some cohesiveness with the group, and then you can get back to the shady. Because according to Phaedra, she said she looked like Natari, and everybody started throwing up photos and flashback. Like, girl, you know that was shady. You know she looked like Natari, but hey, it was shady and it was fun, and we definitely enjoyed it. All right, now let's talk about Phaedra and Kelly. Now, Phaedra is doing Kelly's divorce pro bono. Once again, Kelly is taking advantages of her friendship. She got a free townhome from Shamia. Now she's getting free legal fees from Phaedra because Phaedra says, I understand what you're going through. I went through a divorce. And Kelly is trying to get Phaedra not only to work on the divorce. Phaedra said, I'm going to work on some child custody and child support for you. And Kelly is like, well, can you find some way to get the girls to be filmed because she makes money off of that too. Um, in my opinion, I think everything for Kelly right now is in the red. And money is funny, but I'm on this TV show trying to show this Real Housewives lives that I don't have. And it's okay, Kelly, because if you remember back season 1, 2, Robin Dixon over there in Potomac was living in a raggedy apartment with her ex NBA husband who had lost all their money. She started from scratch too. Robin ain't had the fashion she had now, or the weaves and hair pieces and the bust downs and all. No, Robin wasn't looking like that. Robin was looking like a woman struggling with a husband she was tired of. And she ended up divorced and they ended up getting back together. He was living with her because he couldn't afford to live anywhere else because they both was broke. Okay, so it's okay to go through that, Kelly. The difference is you don't have a husband now. You're going through the divorce because you're doing confessionals and t-shirts. And I hear in Atlanta, there's places you can go rent high-end clothing. Why did you go rent some high-end clothing to do your confessionals and turn it back in? The t-shirt just don't work for us. Every time I see it, it just throws me off. All right. Then we go to Pinky and her husband and Montel Jordan, his wife, who's a pastor. Good scene. They're talking, they're trying to let Pinky know that this is your husband and it is okay if he bails you out. Because Pinky just has so much pride, quote unquote, that she will not let her husband help her. You have so much pride that you get on TV and tell us about all your financial problems, but you don't have enough pride to have your husband help you with the financial problems. No, I'm sorry, enough humility to say, hey, babe, I'm sorry. I tried to do these things. It just didn't work. She's telling us she's working on getting her businesses restarted or selling her whatever. And I'm like, how are you doing that if you filed for bankruptcy? Because again, just I ain't, I don't know everything about bankruptcy, but I do know people who may have been through it. And you have to turn in all of your assets. And I would think any business that you own, and depending on who name it is, could be some of your husband's business, but I think she's keeping it separate. But any other business that you own, any money you have in a bank, you're spending $40,000 for a film, but you're filing for bankruptcy and you're doing it on TV. You don't think those debtors and the people that you owe aren't going to use that as evidence and the judge say, hey, how are you spending $40,000 for a movie, but you owe this man 20,000 or this man 25,000? Think. Think, Pinky, you need to keep the numbers out your head. And you now getting a salary from Bravo for this show. You might want to just lay back, keep your money to the side. But no, she wants to do film. She wants to do her children are models, which is great. She got restaurants. She's opening up more franchises. I'm like, Pinky, I would advise you to slow it down. Okay. So then, the skate party happens. And I thought the skate party was actually really nice. Everybody was just, um, really dressed really nice, as far as the outfits. Portia, I don't know. I think Portia looked absolutely amazing. Angela looked amazing. They gave Pinky her flowers. They apologized to Pinky. I thought it was really nice. They was doing photo shoots and all of that. Everything was cute as far as the skate party goes. And here come K Michelle, who wasn't gonna come at first, but then she did show up, and she can't skate. She's not, like Portia said, you're just not fitting in. I mean, Drew, and you're not. It ain't nothing wrong with not being able to skate because I'm not a skater, but it's Atlanta. That is known. That's one of the skate capitals of the world. They love skating down there. Everybody can skate, spin backwards, forwards, whatever. So okay, Michelle felt a little out of place. But even in that moment, she put whatever aside, got out there on that skating ring and started skating. So we will give Pinky kudos for that and her flowers for finally getting them together at an event that didn't cause anybody to fight. And the husbands are actually there low key. I seen some of them around. I think I even seen Gerald sitting on the back of a truck. I wasn't for sure, but they weren't being filmed. So we like that. And even you seen Shamia laughing, they doing Soul Train lines and stuff. So I'm like, this could be every day with a little bit of shade. The hate doesn't have to be so high. And then at the end, here come Mr. Dennis. Just ruined the whole show. The show was really going on a positive note all the way through. There was some moments where people were discussing their issues with each other, but it was pretty positive all the way through. And then here come Dennis. And I believe this, and I know people may think I have a soft heart because sometimes I have a soft heart for Martell over there on Huntsville or Destiny on Huntsville. That don't mean I don't like or hate the other people. It's just something I just meet people where they at, basically. So where I see Dennis at right now, when Dennis watched that episode that Portia admitted she was dating two people, one male and one female, I think that broke Dennis' heart. I think Dennis was saving that ring to give back to Portia for the third time. And that's why he brought it over. Because you didn't had it this long, Dennis. Why'd you feel need to bring it over? And unless she paid for the ring, you should have kept it and went to the pawn shop and made you a necklace out of it. She didn't. You didn't have to bring it over to give it to her. So you wanted to create something. And like Portia said, this hurts. Anybody watching the show can tell Portia and Dennis still have some type of feelings for each other, but they have, well, Portia, I would say, has grown to accepted the fact that they would probably never be in a marriage or relationship, but they could still have love for each other because of their child. She's accepted the fact that her and Dennis will never have a long-term relationship, which is what she wanted in the beginning. But Dennis couldn't see that. Now he's grown and mature, got a little gray in his beard, and he's ready to settle down with the mother of his child. But that window has already closed. That door's no open no longer. That train has left the station. Because when you had the mother of your child, you didn't treat her right. And then you left her and came back and proposed to her two times. I don't think she's ready for a third proposal. And you're sitting there basically telling her that you was hoping you could give her that ring again. Dennis, you're a grown man. Why didn't you just come out and say it? Long time ago. When Portia, you said, well, I thought the relationship with Simon would just wear off eventually. As soon as you seen her and Simon falling apart, you should have told her then. You shouldn't have waited for her to go out and start seeking other people. And then you realize, damn, my window opportunity is closing. Let me jump back in here, because that confuses her. You should have told her when she was married to Simon. If you felt this wasn't going to work, you should have said, Portia, I love you and I want our family together, but I'm going to give you the space and opportunity to try to see if this works. But if it doesn't work, can you at least give us a try later on? Something like that. So she would have known when Simon was over, maybe Dennis was right. Let me see if this could work with our daughter. You didn't say that. You didn't come forth until you found out Portia has completely closed the door and has moved on to somebody else. So when you gave her that ring back, she said, this is triggering for me. And she was really, really hurt because she got up, walked out, told him to take the mic off. She was almost in tears. And that showed me Portia still loved you, but you waited too late to come back or try to rekindle the relationship. And she has moved on internally and physically, but she still has love for you because you always going to be Pilar's father. Dennis, boy, I don't know who your peeps are, your dudes, or whatever y'all want to call them in down there in Atlanta, but y'all should have taught Dennis better than that because that was a wrong move, wrong time. And Portia was really, really hurt. And I know y'all be thinking Portia be over the top faking or whatever, but I can see sometimes through the screen when people are real emotional and when people are faking. Dennis still loves Portia, and Portia was really emotional about that ring. That's what I got of it. And if she wasn't, then she's a hell of an actress. All right. Now, with that being said, I think the show was pretty good, just enough drama, and I'm glad K. Michelle didn't have a lot of parts in this show so we could focus on something else instead of her always talking about somebody plotting and scheming all the damn time because I'm tired of plotting and scheming. Shamia toned it down just a little bit this time. She didn't create too much drama or try to divide, but Shamia gives me if you got to be on my side. If you ain't on my side, then I don't want to talk to you. But I'm still pissed off at the way she treated Drew. It was I could see K. Michelle and Drew because they've been arguing since day one. But Shamia, it was no reason for you to talk to Drew that way, talking about she keep bringing up Portia. You got to stop that. And maybe you should bring up Portia sometime. But I digress. Let's move on to, and I'm gonna give me a sip of water. Heart and Hustle Houston. Now, I watched the first 3 episodes. I did watch it last season, so I'm familiar with the characters. The names I keep having to, get back in my head. But I am familiar with the situations of each character and what is going on in their lives. So apparently, I'm catching up from episode 1 to episode 3. So I watched all 3 of them. I took a little notes to where they're at today. And then what I will do going forward is I will do a commentary on them starting next week when it airs again. I think on Friday or Saturday, whenever it airs. So from the least problematic so far to the most problematic, that's what I'm going to just give you a big synopsis on who I think and what's going on in their lives. With that being said, Latara, Latoria, or I think her name is Latoria, she started out this season saying everything was great until the camera started rolling. Then everybody started acting the clown. We went to therapy and people that started doing this and doing that. That's called that taste of fame, Latoria. They finally on TV getting a little fame. And although they big crap in Houston, they may be big SHIT in Houston, they wasn't big worldwide per se across the country. So yeah, they may have the big houses and the big this and the big that and driving this and driving that, but you were local wealth and local celebrity, quote unquote. But now you're nationwide. So, like most girl groups, because most reality TV shows are built off of a group of women for the most part, you know, they be best friends 20, 30 years. Look at Portia and Shamia. But when that camera start rolling, something, that taste of fame changes everything. We saw it in Housewives of Atlanta. We saw it in Potomac. We saw it in Huntsville. I mean, you see it all the time. Love and hip hop. When that camera start rolling, people are doing everything for the fame. They want to be the standout castmate. They want to be the person everybody recognized. For some reason, it's that fear of missing out. Everybody wants to be famous. Kind of like social media. Everybody wants to be famous. Kind of like YouTube. Everybody wants to be a person who has a content creator station. Okay, I don't over here on my station. I don't care if I got 500 or 5,000 subscribers. It doesn't matter to me. I just put out my videos and go because I'm not doing it for fame and I'm not doing it for money. So there is a difference when you can just do it because it's something you like to do and it's a hobby. You don't have that pressure to put out videos and videos all day and not knocking the hustle for anybody to do it and they make good money off of it. Kudos to you because this is hard. It's not easy. Okay. Because you got to implement this into your regular life. Or if you're a full-time content creator, then this is what you do all day. You still have to find stuff to talk about and create videos. So I said all that to say they're getting a taste of fame. And I ain't saying it's going to their head, but sometimes that happens. And unfortunately, when you go on these shows with your best friends, Some of the relationships get fragile because you don't really know what they think of you until they get in them confessionals and start running off at the mouth. So, that being said, I'm going to go from the least problematic, in my opinion, allegedly, and the most problematic so far for me on Hard and Hustle Houston. We're going to start with RHOA. I think RHOA is a ride or die. To me, she's the least problematic because if you know, remember last season, RHOA was more like a I think she was like hostess in certain type of bars and things like that. And she's finding herself getting her life together. She done had some work done. She's exercising. She's trying to, get to the healthy tone. She's trying to recreate bonds with her children and the children's father. Ro is on her growth and changing her life and just trying to be happy with where she is in life. But she's hurting because her friend group is messed up. She don't want to be in the middle, and she's trying her best to get these women together. So I like Ro for that. So to me, least problematic. I haven't seen her fight or argue with nobody too much in this season or either last season. Elena is on a whole new journey. Now, Elena was the one who was married to the guy since high school. They had kids, and he allegedly, they weren't sleeping together and they broke up, got back together. And at some point, they found out he cheated, and then he lost a lot of her money. According to Josh, he said he was investing the money during COVID, trying to, keep their family going because during COVID, it was hard to make money, especially doing what she do as a makeup artist because you couldn't get close to people's face and stuff. So I understood Josh's intentions, but what he was doing was study siphoning money out the account and not telling his wife, and that's where you lost me at. It's okay, I don't know how much was in their account. I can't remember if they actually gave the numbers or not, but it's okay if you take 1,000 here, 500 there, whatever. But if you're taking tens and tens of thousands, you do need to talk to your wife because you still have mortgages and bills and kids' functions and stuff that you have to pay for. So yes, I can see why she was upset. And then you tag that on to he said he had an affair 16 years ago. I don't know. And he said Elena had one recently over a year ago. That could be true because Elena's looking real different now. She didn't got the bust down wig. She looks a lot more refreshed and she ain't as angry or sad looking like she was last year. She was crying every scene because of Josh taking her through this and taking her through that. And now all of a sudden, Josh wants his family back. But it looks like to me when they went to counseling, you remember last year when they had went to counseling, Josh acted like he didn't care. I remember them in that counseling section. He acted like he did not care. Now when Elena said, you know what, I'm going to take you up on that offer. I'm going to move on. Elena's a beautiful girl, smart, intelligent, and got her own business. She is a commodity down there in Houston. And I don't know, I don't think Josh realized it until he actually lost Elena. So now he's on this get my family back together, but then he's saying he wants the divorce. I don't know what Josh wants. I know Josh is mad Elena's gone and not no longer tolerating his BS. Let's talk Lataria. Lataria, in my opinion, is kind of like the Bell Collective's Letitia. And I don't mean that because, they're plus size. I mean that because Lataria is like Letitia on Bell Collective, always trying to get the girls together, having these women empowerment events. But we know Lataria is a public relation person and she represents a lot of celebrities. But she's having these women empowerment events and recognizing people. And then behind the scenes, when you at these events, the women you supposed to be empowering, some people are talking about, or you're not leaving good examples for them. So for Chloe and Labrina to sit there and talk about the women she was recognizing and calling that girl precious, and then they pretend like they don't understand what is related to, is bullcrap to me. I call BS. Labrina, you know what precious mean. You know doggone well, you in the South, one. And two, we done all seen the movie. So you sitting here like precious. And then Chloe saying, I didn't say it. Nope, Chloe, you're right. You did not say precious. You said Gabrielle Sidibe because they showed the flashbacks. And that's what you said. And then Labrina said precious. And y'all were just wrong for that. And that young lady that was standing on that stage that the camera panned to, she got to hear that. She got to watch the show and hear that. She watching the show thinking, oh, they're gonna show my face on here. And then this is what she gonna hear. She is the object of y'all dispute for at least the first three episodes and maybe four. How do you think that makes her feel? But y'all supposed to have been empowering women. See, this is why a lot of women decide they don't even want to go to these empowerment brunches no more, because as we see on these reality shows, some of this crap is fake. You come in there, you telling women of your stories, how to empower yourself, how to be strong. I am strong. I'm invincible. I am woman. And then behind the scenes, y'all up here cussing each other out. I'm just saying. That's what I get from Latoria. She is the center of the group, and her group is fragile, just like Letitia on Bell Collective. So, in a sense, she got to figure out how to get the group back together and not hold her personal feelings in the mix of that, along with losing her dad, trying to get his stuff together. She's still mourning that, and the fact that her mom didn't really accept her when she was younger. Her dad raised her, so she got a lot of mental things going on, family issues and stuff like that. Hang in there, Latoria. Maybe to get better. Morena's the social influencer of the group, social media influencer. Beautiful family, absolutely gorgeous. I love the photo shoot with the sage, with the children. I'm not taking nothing away. But Morena is that ride or die friend who will never admit that their friend is wrong. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because you have to keep in mind you could ride or die for your friend, but you also have to hold them accountable. And Morena refuses to hold Labrina accountable. Lorraine and Labrina, I'm not saying mean girl title, but they give me that they do think they're a little better than the rest of the group. Just my opinion. Morena is sitting there with the other girls, Latora, and I think not Chloe Rowe, and they're telling her what was said and how they felt. And it was disrespectful. And Morena is still trying to make excuses for Labrina instead of saying, you know what, she shouldn't have said that. I understand it now. And she's telling you in the black community to say something like that, that's disrespectful. Well, you can't think for Labrina, but you also can accept the fact that I didn't understand it that way. Now that you mention it or you said it in that way, I can see where you would find it disrespectful, or where that young lady would find it disrespectful. But Morena refuses to call Labrina out. And that's going to be a problem to me. Chloe, Chloe is looking for closure. She lost her husband and she has those two children and that older son. I get it. She's still mourning him, and she's dating this young guy and she's mothering him. And she do not see it until Latoria and them points it out to her. She is literally mothering this man. She likes him, but she's treating him like a child. Now, this man, Jordan, then went over to your friends and was talking about getting engaged to you. Okay, allegedly y'all not speaking because some female has the codes to his house, but you never said in what content she was coming. Did you say you called and it was a female in the house? Did you see security cameras of a female in the house? Was it the maid cleaning the house? Who was this female at Josh's house? Nobody really says who she was. She just said she has a code. Maybe it was his ex-girlfriend, and she had the code. They broke up and he didn't change the code. All Josh has to do is go in there and change the code. And if he don't know how to do it, get a locksmith to do it. So there's more to that code thing than what they're saying. And like he said, you talk to my mother too much. He is right, Chloe. I mean, y'all been dating for a while. I get it. He introduced you to your mom. I get it. But that's his mom, not your mom. And I understand you're trying to fill that void because your mother's not there. You're trying to get that closest because you want to be close to the family, make her your mother-in-law. We understand that, Chloe. But he keeps telling you that is my mom. What he's saying is boundaries. You don't have to call her every day. Maybe call her once every other week to see how she doing. Make sure her health is good. What you cooking today? Hey, I'm coming. I'll be by your house. Mind if we stop by? We can have a talk or something. Chloe is trying to dig in and put her nails into this young man Jordan, and she's doing that through his mom, because apparently Jordan and his mom may be close. You do not call people's mothers discussing your personal issues, especially a man. He does not like that. He don't like his mother in his personal life like that. And she's like, well, who should I call? And Latoria said, nobody. You call his mother is like you treat him like you're his child. And she finally got it. But she didn't get it when Jordan was saying it to her. And I think Jordan was snapping a little bit because he was frustrated because she didn't get it. And I'm like, Chloe, you a whole mother. Do you want your older son's girlfriend calling you? I mean, maybe she wants that. I don't know. But whatever you're searching for in his mom, you probably want to find that out and find that it may be an aunt on your side, or cousin on your side, or older grandparent or something on your side of the family. And don't make his mom, and his mom is probably nice and cordial and just had these conversations with you. But remember, whatever her son tells her to do, she's going to do. Whoever her son tell her he's dating or don't talk to this person, she's going to do, because she's not obligated to you. She's obligated to her son. That's where her loyalty lies. So she's probably being nice and courteous because you're dating this her son, and she knows you, and maybe she does like you. But if her son comes home and say, "Hey, don't answer her calls anymore and stop talking to her," she probably will cut you off. So you don't want to get hurt like that. And he's not your child. Period. He is not your child. Find out why the girl got the key or the code. Sit down and have a conversation with Josh. The man actually does love you, and he said that. But what you have to do is treat him as a man and not a child, because he's the same age or close to the age of your son. Because if you're going to date him young and say he's young, but he's a great guy, good man, then you got to treat him. If you're going to date him at 24 and you 40, you got to treat him like he's 40. You can't be calling his mom on him like he's a child. That's what you're not getting, Chloe. Fix that. And last but not least, Labrina. Labrina, the word is accountability, self-reflection. Because you have no self-reflection, no self-awareness, or no accountability of what you said. You knew what you were saying when you said, Precious, I don't care. And all you do is deflect and start snapping at them because you don't want to admit on camera that that was rude and disrespectful. That's what it is. And you do think you are above them. You said they are not on my level. You acted like that the first season when they came to your house out there in that big old ranch, and you took them to the wine country. You acted like that the first season to me because you married to an NFL player and you got this, that, and the third. You've always gave me a little bougie. Matter of fact, reminds me of Latrice on Bell Collective or Tiffany in Bell Collective Atlanta. You gave me a little bougie the first season. But I said, we wait till the second season. They're just filling each other out. That just may be her personality. But now it's full circle. You do act like these girls are beneath you, and you do act like you better than them. But be very careful, because when you come into these reality shows like that, they can't wait to find something to dig up on you or your husband. So be careful the way you talk to these people. These YouTube detectives out here, now I don't do that personally because I don't get that deep into anybody's personal life. I just talk about the shows and what they air. But these YouTube detectives, they will start digging. If they start not liking your character on that show, they will dig anything they can find up on you and start posting all over social media, trying to destroy your character. So you better hope everything is wiped clean, all your social media accounts, high school, college, whatever, because they will find some dirt. That's one thing I could say. YouTube detectives are good. Okay. But yes, Labrina, you gives me no accountability. Your comment was wrong. You know exactly what you were saying. You say to all of them that you're smart, you're intelligent, they're not, you saying, well, I mean, not on my level, intellect, all of that. And you didn't know that calling somebody precious was disrespectful, but you're supposed to be, classy, smart, intelligent, wealthy. They're beneath you. You're not on their. If you tell somebody they're not on your level, that means they're beneath you. And I don't mean financially. If you say you're not on my level mentally, that means that you're smarter than me. If you say you're not on my level physically, that means that you think you look better than me. If you say you're not on my level financially, that means that you got more money than me. Saying not on my level means exactly what it says. You're not on my level. Period. Don't try to sugarcoat it and push it up like I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. And stand in what you said. But what you have to understand is calling somebody freaking Gabrielle Sidibe is not a flex, is not a compliment. It is a disrespect. I mean Gabrielle Sidibe in a sense. I'm saying Precious, the character that she played, okay? Because Precious was not the most smart character or the best character out there. She was very controversial. And people said that as a joke going forward. You know what you was doing, Labrina. And that's why Labrina is on the bottom of my list from the least problematic to the most problematic. For right now, the first 3 episodes, Labrina needs to take accountability. When they went in there to see Miss Sylvia in on the last episode in the counseling session, she still came in there. She wasn't gonna come because she thought she didn't need to show up. She gets in there, takes over the conversation again, going back and forth, telling these people how they supposed to feel. You cannot tell Latora or anybody else how to feel when you make a comment. Only they know how that comment affects them because it could be trauma attached to it. I don't know. But I appreciate once again Chloe. I mean, not Chloe Rowe, who I say is the least problematic, who told them, shut the F up and let this lady talk. That's what I like about her so far. She hasn't given me anything bad yet. Okay. And that's pretty much it for Hard and Hustle Houston. It seems like a good show. Um, Again, it's a good production, but I do see similarities in some of the other shows. And like I say, these reality shows have a format they follow. Get a friend group, whether they're extravagant or mid range or whatever, who've been together. Some women knowing each other forever. Some women connected by other women that they know in the group. Put them together and just let them going at it on each other. They'll start questioning each other's finances. They'll start questioning the house a person drives. They'll start questioning the person's fiance or husband. He or she is cheating. They'll start saying somebody got extra babies out there. They'll just it's the same wash, rinse, and repeat on every reality show to me. It's just the way in which they deliver the news and how they respond. Is what changes. Whether they tell you the truth or a lie, do you believe them? Are they believable? Are they gonna cry some tears or something? That's what I see the difference is. But for the most part, and that's just not the black shows. The white shows the same way. They all kind of move in the same format, you know. With that being said, this is Gen X Nation. And again, I don't like talking politics too much, but I will say this. The day I never thought I'd see a day in America where we would have a wrestling match on the front lawn of the White House and some disrespectful, unhuman. I'm not even calling him a human being because he's a clown. He is something beneath the bottom of my shoe would say something like that about Michelle Obama per se. And I am getting sick and tired of hearing these comments about these people. And I know they be trying to act like, oh, it was just a joke, whatever. No, because at the end of the day, these were the first African or Black Americans, whatever y'all calling yourself this week, in the White House, and probably will be the last. And it's amazing to me that they've been out of there for 10 years, but everything always turned back to them. You got Laura Bush still alive. You got Hillary Clinton still alive. You got Joe Biden's wife still alive. If you want to pick on the first lady, Melania, why is it always the black first lady that y'all have to have a problem with? The most unproblematic one. Most of the first ladies are unproblematic. You know what I mean? But why do you always go to her? I've heard Hillary Clinton say just as much stuff about Donald Trump than I've ever heard Michelle Obama say, but y'all don't go after her. Not like you go after Michelle Obama. And it's getting old and tired. That's just my rant. Again, I'm a taxpayer and I have to say that. Well, I have the right to say that. Okay. And with that being said, I ain't want to hold you too long. This is Gen X Nation. I hope you like my commentary. I will start watching Hard and Hustle Houston and giving some good reviews on it. Um, and as always, if there's shows that y'all like and you want me to review, fine. I watch a lot of shows I don't do reviews on because a lot of it's kind of the same, girls fighting, so I try to just like, okay, well, that was a good one, or yeah, that was a nice one, but I'm not going to sit and talk about it. Oh, and the last thing I'm going to say, Love and Marriage Huntsville, Destiny Payton. Like her or hate her or whatever your case may be with Destiny, I will say this: she did a good job on the interview. She did good on the interview, and I think if she continued to do that, she'll probably get better at it. Um, I like seeing Destiny win. That's all I'm saying. And again, I don't have anything against Destiny. I know the history with her and the previous castmates and all of that. But for Destiny to come forth and reinvent herself the way she's doing, and understanding that I made a mistake probably early on during the seasons by having these conflicts with people I shouldn't have had with, and lost some friendships along the way. I think she's learned her lesson and she's trying to do better, and she's found out who the real problem is. So kudos to you, Destiny. Good interview, and I definitely enjoyed it. And with that being said, as always, this is Gen X Nation. You guys go and have a great rest of your day. Peace, and I'm out.